The nuclear industry gets another endorsement from President Obama, how he wants Congress to help expand the U.S. reactor fleet. Also, the front end of the nuclear cycle is getting a federal boost as well. We talk with Areva about its loan guarantee for a new U.S. enrichment facility. And administration officials head back to the Gulf, surveying damage from the oil spill from above.
From the Energy News Center in Washington, D.C., this is the Energy Report with Susan McGinnis.
And good afternoon, I'm Tyler Suiters in for Susan McGinnis. Thanks for joining us for this Monday edition of the Energy Report. About 3 months after announcing the first ever federal loan guarantees for a new nuclear reactor, President Obama is now asking Congress for more loan guarantee funding. This is a look at the president's very public announcement about the new loan guarantees back in February. And today the White House submitted an FY 2010 supplemental spending request proposing an increase of $9 billion in federal loan guarantee authority. That total, plus what's left over from the initial round of guarantees authorized back in 2005, could cover an additional 3 construction projects. Now, what you see here is the site of the first conditional recipient of the loan guarantee. That is Southern Company's Vogtle plant in Georgia. Now, should Congress approve the White House request for additional funding, the frontrunners for loan guarantees are believed to be the South Texas project, Calvert Cliffs in Maryland, and also South Carolina's Summer plant. And the DOE is also ready to award a loan guarantee to nuclear's front end, that is its fuel industry, a loan guarantee for a uranium enrichment facility. This is a look at Areva's Georges Best II enrichment facility in Tricastin, France, similar to the plant the French company wants to build here in the U.S., in Idaho. Now, Areva has received a conditional DOE loan guarantee to cover $2 billion in construction financing. Today, I spoke with the company about the importance of having a federal financial backstop for its proposed facility in Idaho.
These types of projects are very long in duration, of construction, I should say, very large capital. There's really no appetite in the market for financing projects of this size. So absent of the loan guarantee, it would have been nearly impossible. I don't want to say impossible because you never really say that in the business world, but it would have been very difficult for us to line up financing for this project.
Areva tells me it hopes to get NRC approval for the proposed Eagle Rock facility in Idaho sometime next year. Also, Areva is involved in the plans for that new reactor we mentioned at Calvert Cliffs in Maryland. This afternoon, I talked with a company spokesperson who says that Areva is confident that project will also earn a federal loan guarantee. Obama administration officials right now are back on the Gulf Coast. They are overseeing cleanup efforts from the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Interior Secretary Ken Salazar and Homeland Security Chief Janet Napolitano took to the air today to survey the damage from the gusher that has spilled at least 6 million gallons of crude into the Gulf so far. They saw miles upon miles of oil-soaked marshes and soiled birds as well as marine mammals in the area. Back on the ground, Napolitano says she is heartsick about the damage to Grand Isle, which is south of New Orleans. Salazar, for his part, says that federal officials aren't standing on the sidelines, that thousands of people are working to stop the gushing oil and protect the Louisiana coastline. And he adds that the government will keep working to hold rig operator BP responsible for the cleanup.
The fact of the matter is that this is a BP mess. It is a horrible mess. It is a massive environmental mess. The accountability here, as the investigations unfold, will hold them accountably both civilly and in whatever way is necessary. And we will not rest until the job is done. That's why we are spending the amount of time that we are spending on this matter. We are resolute and confident as we move forward that better days are ahead.
Now, on Secretary Salazar's left in that picture, you may have noticed Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal. He says his state has started building berms and containment booms that he says will close the door on that leaked oil. We are tracking the forecast along the East Coast beaches for this Memorial Day weekend. Not looking for rain, but we are looking for oil. And a University of Maryland researcher says that mid-Atlantic beaches should be safe from that Gulf spill. The Gulf Stream, he says, heads away from the continental shelf north of North Carolina's Cape Hatteras, so the hope is that oil carried by the stream would be carried away from the coasts of Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia. But down the road, he adds that as storm systems develop, winds could blow tar balls ashore in the state of Maryland. Back here in Washington, congressional hearings on the Gulf oil spill will continue for a third straight week on Capitol Hill. But elsewhere today, lawmakers in West Virginia heard testimony about their state's recent energy-related disaster. That is the Upper Big Branch mine accident. Today, West Virginia Governor Joe Manchin told a House committee in West Virginia that mine safety regulation needs to be overhauled. Manchin wants lawmakers to eliminate corporate protections designed to shield employees who fail to prioritize safety. The governor also says federal investigators should consider whether the Upper Big Branch miners were concerned about their safety or simply too intimidated to speak up against the company. Today's hearing in West Virginia follows last week's testimony on Capitol Hill from Massey CEO Don Blankenship. In addition to the 29 deaths at Big Branch last month, Massey has lost 23 other miners over the last 10 years.
Once you add the 29 in, it's a bad record. I feel terrible about it. I don't know yet what happened. When you look at the 23 we had, look at the difficult conditions, underground conditions and so forth that we work in the Central Lab, we're about average. If you look at the number of fatals, we're a big producer. So absolute numbers, when you're producing 40 million tons a year, tend to get big even with your best efforts.
Today there's word that Lake Erie may be home to the first freshwater wind farm. General Electric says it wants to develop 5 wind turbines in the lake to generate 20 megawatts of power. The target date is 2012. GE says it would work alongside nonprofit Lake Erie Energy Development Corporation. They expect the facility to have 1,000 megawatts capacity by 2020. If you're curious, Erie is the shallowest of all the Great Lakes, and that's a factor that could be an advantage for construction involving these wind farms. And you may remember that back in December, New York State said it was looking for developers for similar wind projects in Lakes Erie and also Ontario. The Silicon Valley firm Khosla Ventures has now hired former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, and he will be a senior advisor on environmental issues. The company has invested billions of dollars in companies pursuing alternative fuel strategies as well as other environmentally conscious technologies. That company says that Blair will advise clean tech startups on how to meet their business goals. As we wrap up this Monday, we'll take a look at the day ahead here in the Washington, D.C. area. 10 a.m. Eastern, the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee is holding a hearing discussing liability for the Gulf oil spill. As we said, there are more hearings on this topic ahead this week. That takes place in the Russell Senate Office Building. Also, 10 a.m. Eastern, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is unveiling what it calls its Index of U.S. Energy Security Risks. That's taking place at Chamber headquarters in Northwest Washington. And at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, EIA presents projections of world energy supply and demand through 2035. It's releasing the International Energy Outlook 2010. That's taking place at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Clean Skies News will keep you up to date with all of those developments. In the meantime, that is this Monday edition of the Energy Report. You can reach our team here in Washington with your questions, your comments, or anything about our programming. Here's the address. It is contact@cleanskies.com. You can also follow us throughout your day on Facebook and Twitter. For all of us here in the Energy News Center, we're glad you're with us. I'm Tyler Suiters, and you're watching Clean Skies News.